Let's get crafting. Hey guys, it is Jo with Mother Time, and today I'm going to be sharing some thrift store makeovers with you, sharing what I got and how I gave it a makeover. I love doing this with thrift store finds because first, you're finding things very affordably, so they're inexpensive, but then giving them a fresh new look. It is so fun. So I encourage you, if you're looking to get inspired and do some crafting, go to the thrift store, find an item or two that you can transform and make new that fits with your style of decor. It is so much fun. So hopefully these ideas that I share with you today will inspire you to be on the lookout for some things that you can make over to, but virtually anything you find at the thrift store you can make over, which is the fun thing about going thrifting. And like I said before, it is affordable to do too. So I'm excited to show you these items and what I do with them. I shared some with you last week as well, and those were so much fun. So we're going to continue on with doing some even more thrift store makeovers, giving them that very cottage, primitive, rustic look, a little bit of everything. So anyways, I hope you enjoy it. So grab yourself a coffee or tea, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Kicking this off with a set of mini tart dishes that I found at the Goodwill. It was a set of 4 for $3.99. So I had to make some little mini tarts or pies or whatever you want to call them. I love making little tarts and pies. I've shared a ton of them here and on Instagram. Well, these are a little different. I can't wait for you to see these. I am making cinnamon salto little mini pies or tarts, whatever you want to call them. So I'm making some cinnamon salt dough. I'm adding to my mixer flour, salt, cinnamon, and water, but I'm also adding a little bit of my coffee grunge mixture to the water too. You don't have to do that, or you could do all coffee grunge or just even coffee, whatever you want to do. So I'm adding a little bit of water, coffee grunge. Now you can mix this by hand too. I'm just using my mixer, and the consistency you're looking for is like Play-Doh. So if it's too crumbly, you'll want to add a little bit more liquid. And if it's too wet, you're going to want to add a little bit more flour and salt to get that Play-Doh consistency. This is so fun to play with and smells so good too. So I'm just kneading it out with my hands a little bit, smoothing it out, and then I'm going to make some balls and press it into my tart dishes. I'm rolling the dough into a smooth ball, and then I'm going to press it into the tart pan, but I'm using the palm of my hand to kind of keep the center a little bit more elevated. So kind of using my palm, and then I'm going around. Now, right now I'm using my fingers to press around the sides, but I'm actually going to take this out in a little bit and redo it because I liked doing more of a thumb press. So, but then I'm just taking a toothpick and just making a little design in the center. You could do whatever you want. And so then I'll put it on my baking sheet, finish them off. I was unsure on how many I wanted to make at first. I was only going to do 2, but I was really liking how these turned out. So I ended up doing another one and a whole bunch of other little goodies too. Just wait and see. But so I ended up making some more dough and then some more dough again, just so I can make all of these little treats. These smell so good. I just use cinnamon, but you could use cloves, pumpkin pie spice, whatever kind of spices you wanted to use. So I'm making some more dough, because I want to make more of these. Like I said before, I was unsure on how many I wanted to do. And my liquid is a mixture of just water and coffee grunge. You could do all coffee grunge, you could do all water, you don't even need to use coffee grunge. You could use maybe some leftover coffee you had. Whatever liquid, I'm starting with a half a cup and then I add a little bit more so I get that Play-Doh consistency. I'm going to mix this up, make a few more tarts, and then I'm going to make little, I guess you could call scones, or, they're just going to look like really cute, primitive treats that smell so good too. It was too dry, so I'm adding a little bit more liquid. I'm adding some coffee grunge here too. Now you could even add some vanilla, which would be really good too, to also bring out more scent too. So you could add whatever little mixture you wanted to: water, coffee grunge, vanilla, whatever works good for you. And I'm just kind of kneading it, pressing it. I don't want it too dry, so it's crumbly. You don't want it too wet. You want it like that Play-Doh consistency. And then I'm going to make some more tarts and make some more little faux treats too. And these just turn out so cute and they're so fun to make too. Thumb press before, but actually knuckle. So I'm going around with my knuckle and doing this, but you could do whatever kind of little edging you wanted to, just to kind of give it a nice look. So once it's done, I'm going to take a toothpick and just make a little design in the center of it as well. And then I'm actually going to redo the other tart that I already made, just so it kind of looks like this one too. I was almost tempted, it came right out of the dish. I was almost tempted to just bake it like this. That would be really cute too. But I really like it in the little mini tart pan too. So I'm going to just redo this one because I wanted to do the knuckle press so they all look the same. Once you get on a roll with these, they're just so fun to make. It's hard to stop. You just want to keep making them. So that's why I continue to make a few other little goodies and some faux treats to go along with this. The longest part will obviously be baking them. Now you can let them air dry, or you can bake them in the oven at a low temperature between 170, 175 degrees. And you're going to bake these for several hours. I like to check them every once in a while. You're going to bake them for at least 4 to 6 hours. You're going to check them every few hours. It depends, because it's going to vary depending on the size of your tart pan and how much of the dough you're using. So it's really going to vary. There's not like a set time, like it's going to take this long, because different things take longer depending on how much dough you're drying. And of course you can air dry them too. And then once they're dry, they will lighten up. And then once they dry, we're going to embellish them even more. And they turn out so cute. You'll see them at the very end, how they're displayed, but I'm going to take you through the process, and then we'll get to a few more other projects, and then I'll show you how they turn out at the end. So now I'm making these little scones, or biscuits even. I guess scones and biscuits are pretty much the same thing. And I'm just kind of molding it in my hand. I used the tart dish to kind of shape it initially, and then I'm just shaping it around with my hand too. Made some more dough because I was just having so much fun making these. Plus I'd like to do things in threes. So I have 3 tarts, then I needed 3 of the little biscuits or scones, and then I have a little bit extra. I just make like a little cookie because I didn't want to waste any of it. So I'm making a couple more little biscuits or scones for this as well. Also like to use a little bit of cooking spray. You could even just put a little bit of water on your hands too. Just helps shape them and mold it so the dough doesn't stick to your hands. to pop these in a 175-degree oven until they're dried out. They take several hours to dry, but this is what they look like once they are dry and they're cooled. Now the fun begins. They are nice and hard. I'm showing you here kind of like tapping on them. They're nice and dry. So we're going to paint these up and have fun and make some primitive looking treats, and they're just so fun. So I'm going to start with the tarts, and I'm going to add some of my coffee grunge on top. That's going to kind of stain it. Then I'm just going to have fun, and this is the fun part about making these. You could really do whatever you want. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, put it on top. I take a little bit more of my coffee grunge and dye my Mod Podge too, or stain it to give it more of like just a lighter tone. Then I'm going to sprinkle on some cinnamon, add a little bit of instant coffee, and I like to take that instant coffee and really kind of grind it in my hands to make it fine. Sometimes I even put it in my little grinder too, and just to chop it up even more. Then it's just fun to kind of play around with these, taking just some cinnamon, the instant coffee, sprinkling it on top, dabbing some Mod Podge on top, and wait until you see how these turn out. I shared in my last video how I make the coffee grunge. I'll include the recipe for it in the description below. And they smell so good. I couldn't stop smelling them because adding that coffee on top of it, oh, it smells amazing. And like I mentioned before too, you could even add a little bit of vanilla. That would really enhance the smell too. So now I'm using some Mod Podge. I'm going to take a little bit of that coffee grunge. You could use a little bit of paint too, but I'm adding that Mod Podge on top while that coffee grunge is still wet, because then I'm going to take some cinnamon, sprinkle that on top. Then I'm going to take a little bit of that instant coffee like I mentioned before, sprinkle that on top as well, and then I'm dabbing. I don't want to brush. Well, I'll brush a little bit, but you just kind of want to play. But dabbing the Mod Podge on top, it kind of seals it in. But when you have that instant coffee too, it just gives us this really cool effect when you're dabbing that Mod Podge on top too. So just wait and see. I've shared how to make like faux breads and faux muffins before too. I'll include a link for that in the description below as well. Those are lots of fun to make too, but now you can see I'm just dabbing that Mod Podge on top, and I just kind of layer it up, cinnamon, instant coffee, Mod Podge. Just have fun with it until you get that look you want. Adding a few little drips of the coffee grunge into my Mod Podge to tint it a little bit. Then I'm going to continue to dab it on top of the pies. And I'm really doing this one slow for you so you can see how this one turns out from beginning to end. The other ones I'll speed up a little bit so you can see those. But I wanted to show you the first one, kind of how I really take it from the beginning and how it turns out at the end. Hopefully you are relaxing and enjoying a cup of coffee and enjoying this video and watching how I make these darling little pies and treats. They're so fun to make. So hopefully this gives you some inspo for creating some of these as well. I'm just using a little baby wipe to clean around the edges. I love just grabbing a package of baby wipes from the dollar store or whatever store and having that in my craft stash. They are so handy when you are crafting. And this is how it turned out. Isn't that cute? What a difference, right? So I'm going to set this aside to dry and finish up with the other ones. now it's time to make the little biscuit scone. So I'm painting them all with the coffee grunge to stain them. And then I'm going to add like a glaze on top. So first I'm going to just paint them all with the coffee grunge, set them aside, and then get to working on the top of them. I took a little bit of the coffee grunge and mixed it with the Mod Podge, and I'm going to add that on top of the little biscuit scone too. Next, I'm taking a little bit of Mod Podge, mixing it with a little bit of white paint. I'm just using some white chalk paint I had. I think this is plaster is the color, just whatever kind of white paint you have, because that is going to make the glaze for on top of these little biscuit scones. So I'm just dripping it on. You could paint it on. I'm just kind of playing around, having fun. Want to make it look like it's just like glaze on top of the little biscuit scone. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with some cinnamon and some instant coffee. I even get out a little bit of some rolled oats too for on top of it. And then I'll pat some Mod Podge on top of this. And these just turn out so cute. And look at how good this turned out. I love it. Now I'm using quick oats. I'm not using the old-fashioned oats. So it has a little bit more texture. So I'm going to do this one. And I'm also going to do the cookie. I made it like a thumbprint cookie, but I just end up adding some glaze and the cinnamon, instant coffee, and oats on top of that too. For this one, I actually didn't even add the glaze. I just did the Mod Podge, cinnamon, instant coffee, just to mix it up a little bit to show you a little bit of a difference. So now for one of the little mini pie tarts, I'm just going to wrap it with some torn homespun. I'm not going to do to every one of them. I was even going to add a little stamp tag too, but I'm going to add these to my little plate stand that I recently got thrifting. And so I'm just going to do it to one just for a little added accent. But these are so fun to embellish too. So you could take some torn muslin, you could take some cheesecloth, you could take the homespun. So many ways you could deck these out. I will show you at the end how all of the little tarts and pies and treats look displayed. We're going to move on to the next project. So I found this spoon rack. Isn't it cute? At Savers for $4.99. Of course, I had a Savers coupon, so it was 20% off of that. So I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. At first, I was going to kind of like strip it a little bit, but then I decided I really wanted to paint it. That was initially when I bought it, that's what I was going to do. So I have some black chalk paint, and I'm just going to paint this. Now, I was going to even like sand it a little bit to give it more of a distressed once the paint dried too. But wait till you see how this turns out. So I love finding things like this and giving it, repurposing it, and giving it like new life by just painting it black. So let me get this all painted up and then I'll show you what we do next. And when I'm painting this, I'm trying to go with the grain of the wood and just kind of keeping the strokes the same, going up and down. Of course, there's some places where you can't avoid that, but for the most part, I'm trying to keep the paint strokes with the grain. And look at how this has transformed. So like I said, I was going to then, after the paint dry, kind of sand it a little bit so you can kind of see some of that wood. But what I decided to do is not even put the chalk paint on that thick. But that's why I love using chalk paint, because I just love the end result and gives it that really great look. So now it's time to add some spoons. So I grabbed some of my old spoons that I had, and they didn't fit into that. So I went down to Dollar General and they had some wooden spoons, I think a 3-pack for like $2 and change that fit in here. So since I'm just using this more for decorative anyways, I grabbed those and then I'm going to stain them, and I'm using Minwax stain in the color Early American. Just going to give them a quick stain to put these spoons in my spoon rack. Going to add the stained spoons into the spoon rack. I like doing things in odd numbers, so I'm going to only add 5 of them, and I'm kind of spacing them out. So I'm going to do 3 on top, 2 on the bottom, and wait until you see. Look at how pretty this is, right? And then I'm going to grab some homespun. And this did have a little hook on the back of it, which I haven't decided if I'm going to use it like that. But I did tie a little bit of homespun to the back too. And I took a little bit of homespun and added it to a few of the spoons too. And this just turned out so darling. I'm so happy I decided to paint it black. That was, like I said, initially what I wanted to do was paint it black. But I also was intrigued to see what it looked like, kind of like just that raw wood look. So I guess I got to see both, and I like it definitely this way because it makes those spoons pop too. If I didn't do this, then the spoons kind of would just blend in with the wood. So I really love it. So now I'm going to take some torn homespun. I get my homespun at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to tie a little bit to the back little hook that was already there. And you can't beat this. This was what, a little over, maybe $4 for this spoon rack already all set up. I just painted it, gave it new life, and it totally transformed this. And then, like I said, I'm going to take a little bit of the homespun and tie it to a couple of the spoons too. And this just turned out so cute. So hopefully this inspired you to check your thrift stores, find a spoon rack like this, paint it black with some black chalk paint, grab some wooden spoons, whether you have some or you can get them at the Dollar General like I did, and stain them and have this really cute spoon rack to hang in your home too. And I will show you at the end how this looks all displayed. We're gonna move on to the next project. So I found this punch tin candle at Savers. And of course I had my coupon too. So just a couple of dollars, really cute, just like this, right? I cleaned it up and then I decided to paint it black too to kind of go with everything. I just love that, matte look. So I'm using my black chalk paint again, going to paint it. And then once the paint is dry, I'm gonna add one of my primitive candles that I get at a local primitive shop too, but you can find them even probably on Amazon. And then I'm going to take some of this greenery. Now this greenery is a garland that I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to just cut it down and wrap it around, and boom, just like that, totally transformed this thrift store find. I added some homespun too, of course, and look at how cute this turned out with just a little bit of chalk paint. Of course, you could spray paint it too, but sometimes it's just easy to paint it. Plus, then you can apply exactly how much paint you want. And then adding a little bit of the greenery, a cute little candle. And this is adorable. I absolutely love the way this turned out. And I love that cozy glow with the candle. Next up, I found these paper candle holders at the Salvation Army for $3.99 each. I loved the way they looked. I like the oval shape, but they just looked to me very Colonial Williamsburg, which I love. But I knew painting them black would just give them brand new life and would be something that I would see at like a cute little primitive shop for a lot more than $3.99. So I'm gonna wash them up and then paint them with some chalk paint, just some black chalk paint. And like I said, I like to apply it very lightly so you get some of that wood tone coming through. You could even just sand it down too if you apply too much paint, but I just do a really nice light coat. So then once it dries, you see some of the wood coming through too. Or you could sand it a little bit if you wanted to sand it in spots too, but with just a little bit of black chalk paint and some candle holders, these turned out so good. I actually have these now in my dining room, and I'll show you how they look here too when they're done and they're dry. Just like that, look at how these turned out. I love these, so hopefully this inspires you to go out to your local thrift store, find some candle holders, paint them with some black chalk paint, and boom, done. Instant beautiful decor. So I'm going to hang these here in the dining room. Now I do have some candle holders hung on the wall already that I love, but I actually have another home for those. So this kind of all worked out because I was going to hang these in the living room too, but I like them in here. So I'm going to just swap them out and on the wall here. And they're so pretty. And I love them so much. Next up is a really easy transformation, but I wanted to kind of inspire you to look for things like this too. So I found this magazine rack, which I've been looking for one like this. I see them all the time, but I liked this one. I like the shape and I also like the color. It was $5.99. Now this one I actually had a $2 coupon, so I got it for like $4, right? And so I'm gonna clean it up and then I'm just going to touch it up with some of my black chalk paint. I'm taking the vacuum up to it too and vacuuming it up, and then I'm just taking some black chalk paint, adding a fresh coat of paint, and just like this, for just a few dollars, I have a brand new magazine rack, and I wanted one for in the living room to put, books and magazines and, other little things in there too. And I love the way this turned out. It was such an easy transformation. I was even thinking about maybe adding some kind of detail to the front of it too, but I love it just like this. And I love finding things like this at the thrift store, cleaning them up and giving them new life. It was just such an easy and fun project, just having a cup of coffee and just giving it a quick coat of paint. I was deciding here if I wanted to do something more to it. But I just liked it like this. The simplicity of it just is really pretty. And it was like the wood on it too. Just something that I would see probably at a shop for a lot more money than for $4. So it was just fun to have a cup of coffee and paint this up and give it a new life. Here it is, all done, good as new, and I just love the way it turned out. And here are all of the little pies and tarts and biscuits and scones on my plate/pie rack. I love how they look here. Aren't they cute? And then I have my spoon rack here too, and the cute little punch tin candle holder. I love how everything turned out, and they were so fun to make too. I love the little pies and the tarts and how they look here, and they smell so good too. So hopefully this video today gave you some inspiration for finding some things at the thrift store that you can make over like this as well. Okay guys, that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you got some ideas as well. Give this video a big thumbs up if you did. Let me know in the comments below what you enjoyed the most, and make sure you're following me over on Facebook and Instagram at Mother Time for lots of behind the scenes and videos here and there. You can also check out my blog, mothertime.com. And if you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you click that little subscribe button so you never miss a video. Every Mondays is crafting and home decor. Wednesdays is meal planning, meal prepping, and cooking. And Fridays is Thrifty Friday. So we kick off Fridays with doing some thrifting, go through the weekend, and then on Monday I do some home decorating or take some of my thrift store finds and craft with them, which is so much fun. And it's just fun to add a twist to these items. So hopefully this inspired you, encouraged you to get some thrift store items. Or I love even shopping my home and finding items that I can make over too. I have a basement full of stuff that I can just make over. So sometimes I don't like taking that stuff because I know one day I could give it a makeover too. So you don't have to even go to the thrift store. You could just shop your home, find something maybe you put in your basement, put in a box. Maybe you're going to take it to the thrift store and you're like, I'm going to do something with it and make it new again. And that's always a fun thing, repurposing things and recycling things. And that's what I love to do, is just taking these items and giving them new life. So I hope this gave you some ideas today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you had fun. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.